Oh wow, buckle in, get ready for fun and learning. This is a Homeschool Pop U.S. States video. In this video, we are learning about the state of Texas. You're going to learn so much about the state of Texas, it's going to be a blast. But where is Texas? Where is this incredible state? If we want to learn about Texas, we have to know where we're talking about. Here is a U.S. map. Now, where is Texas? We do have a hint for you. Texas is the second largest state in the United States. So it's going to be a big state. Yeah, Texas is right here. Isn't it a big state? Texas is right here in a region called the South Central. As you can see, the state of Texas is in the middle of the United States to the south. That is why Texas is in the South Central region of the United States. Let's look closer at what surrounds the state of Texas. To the southeast of the state of Texas is a body of water called the Gulf of Mexico. That's why Texas is considered one of the Gulf states, because it borders the Gulf of Mexico. Then Texas is bordered by 4 different states. Bordering Texas to the east is the state of Louisiana. Then to the northeast is the state of Arkansas. Then bordering Texas to the north is the state of Oklahoma. And to the west is the state of New Mexico. Then to the south and west of much of Texas is the country of Mexico. It's interesting, Texas used to belong to Mexico. Yeah, that's right, Texas used to be a part of Mexico. For 15 years, Texas was a part of Mexico, and before that, the land of Texas belonged to Spain. That was a lot of fun. Now you know where Texas is, and you know some of the things that border the state of Texas. Now we're going to learn the main nickname of the state of Texas. Well, Texas is called the Lone Star State. That's the main nickname of the state of Texas. If anyone says, I'm going to the Lone Star State, they're going to go to Texas. They're going to go to Texas. Texas is the Lone Star State. The nickname is even reflected in the flag of the state of Texas, which has that one star, that lone star, that white star there in the blue, that's called the Lone Star, and they've nicknamed the flag of Texas the Lone Star Flag because of that star. The Lone Star State, the Lone Star Flag, that all has to do with Texas. Alright, so why is Texas nicknamed the Lone Star State? Remember how we said earlier that Texas used to be a part of Mexico? Well, after 15 years of being a part of Mexico, Texas wanted to be their own individual republic. They wanted to be their own individual country. They began to fight for independence, and the flag of the state of Texas, the same flag they use today, was used in many of the battles while Texas fought to become their own individual country, their own republic. The Lone Star was an important symbol to them, and even today it's an important symbol of how Texas wants to do things the way they want to do them, and they want to be free. They're their own individual state, and they haven't lost that sense of being the Lone Star State. By the way, Texas was its very own country for 9 years before joining the United States. It was called the Republic of Texas. Let's look again at the flag of the state of Texas, also known as the Lone Star Flag. Of course, the flag has that white star, which is the Lone Star. It bears so much significance and importance to the state of Texas. The color blue on the flag represents loyalty. The color white stands for purity, and the color red stands for bravery. These are important values to the Lone Star State, which is why they are on the flag. Now we are going to look at some cool places in Texas. Right here near the middle of the state is the city of Austin. Austin is the capital of Texas. Then to the east is the city of Houston. Houston is the largest city in Texas. Then further towards the west is the city of San Antonio. San Antonio is a city in the state of Texas that played a huge role in the history of this great state. In San Antonio is a place called the Alamo. The Alamo was where an important battle took place when Texas was fighting for their independence from Mexico. The battle cry they used, "Remember the Alamo," is still used today. People still reference it and still use it as an important reminder of the rich history of the state of Texas. You can still visit the Alamo today. It's a museum that teaches so much about the history of Texas. Alright, here is our final question. What is the state bird of Texas? That's a great question. What is the state bird of Texas? The state bird of Texas is the northern mockingbird. The northern mockingbird. The northern mockingbird likes to eat insects and fruits, and as its name suggests, the northern mockingbird likes to mimic or mock sounds. I wonder if a northern mockingbird was in Texas so long, if the mockingbird would say, "Remember the Alamo!" Though a northern mockingbird wouldn't sound like that, but, close. Maybe close. Close to that, maybe. Thanks for watching this homeschool pop video on the state of Texas, the Lone Star State.